Dr. Suzanne Donovan is an expert on Ebola. She recently completed a month-long stint in Sierra Leone treating Ebola victims. What made you volunteer?
Well, this is what I do. You know, I'm an infectious disease physician.
She's come with us aboard a 767 jetliner, now out of service, to discuss the risk Ebola could have to the American flying public. So let's say somebody has Ebola and they're showing symptoms,
Right.
and you're sitting next to that person.
Right.
Any chance you could get it?
I can understand passengers' concern about being exposed, but this is something that is transmitted with direct contact of body fluids.
If saliva or a bodily fluid gets either on a tray or an armrest, and you touch it, and then touch your nose or touch your mouth.
And you're bringing up very rare scenarios, and I would say you're at greater risk of driving to the airport and getting in a car accident than being infected with Ebola by being on an airplane.
Dr. Donovan says Americans have little to worry about, from temperature and symptom screenings in many African airports to the low risk of coming into direct contact with body fluids of an infected patient. Now let's assume a worst case scenario for a moment, that there is an infected person on board and that person is also showing symptoms and you're the unlucky passenger sitting right next to him. Even with those circumstances, Dr. Donovan says the risk of you getting the disease is still very low. What about just the fabric on the airplane? Say, for instance, bodily fluids get on the fabric, get on the seats. What's the probability of you getting it that way?
It's very susceptible to cleaning agents. So even soap and water in Africa, we use bleach solutions frequently, but even washing your hands with soap and water would kill the virus.
Ebola is not an airborne virus, so unlike the flu, there's little concern about getting it from someone who coughs or sneezes on a plane. But the UN Ebola chief raises the possibility, however remote, that the virus could mutate and become airborne.
Well, that would be a game changer.
A game changer because Ebola could become much more infectious, transmitted just like the flu.
I've seen some of those concerns raised, and clearly any virus that became airborne with this type of lethality rate would be concerning.
Until then, there seems to be no reason to alter flying habits. Dan Simon, CNN, Victorville, California.